Ramadan is coming up, and if you're not sure what to eat for suhoor to make sure that you have energy during the day, and you're not sure what to eat for iftar to make sure that you can still enjoy your food but not get into a food coma, and you want to have energy and lose weight instead of gaining weight this Ramadan, this quick video is for you. We're going to talk about exactly what to do for suhoor and for iftar to get the best results possible as far as having energy to do more good deeds during Ramadan, keep up your performance at work, and obviously be that patient and present and positive version of yourself around your family. And speaking of family, we're going to talk about what to do when family tries to pressure you to eat unhealthy to still be able to enjoy your food with some flexibility, but also to be able to set boundaries so that you don't end up eating something that you regret, but you also don't end up disrespecting somebody who cooked this beautiful food for you made from love. So today, we're going to be diving into that and actually have a little slideshow for you. So we're going to dive into this entire slideshow that goes through all this stuff to make sure that you are crystal clear by the end of this video and you know exactly what to do for suhoor and iftar when Ramadan comes up. As soon as this slideshow finishes loading, we're going to get started. Sometimes these things happen. The PowerPoint is too strong, so obviously it's taking me a second here. So while that starts, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we need to understand inside of Ramadan. So our Prophet ﷺ, as I talked about in a previous video, has given us a lot of great advice on healthy eating, right? And part of that advice is to avoid extravagance and to only eat good, wholesome foods. This is really, really important because a lot of us fall out of integrity with this principle during Ramadan, right? And my thing is still loading, by the way, so I might just show you guys without the big PowerPoint here. But that's one of the hadiths. The other one is the hadith on portion control. 1/3 for food, 1/3 for water, and 1/3 to save room for your breath. This is super important because if we don't follow this hadith and we overeat, what we end up doing is we end up not only disrespecting the advice that our Prophet ﷺ gave us, but we also end up suffering consequences for it. So we're not going to use the regular slideshow. We're going to actually just dive in like this. And basically, the biggest thing is we want to eat the right things for suhoor and iftar and eat the best foods to maximize our energy and fat loss. So why is it important to have energy and lose fat in Ramadan? Well, again, in Ramadan, it's a special month where our good deeds are amplified times 70 times. So we want to be able to do as many good deeds as possible. However, like I said, most cultures engage in really unhealthy eating habits contrary to the advice that our Prophet ﷺ gave us, which results in consequences of having low energy levels and of gaining weight. And this is going to affect our ability to do as many good deeds as possible, and it's going to decrease our performance and our productivity at work, and it's going to make us irritable and tired around our families, which is going to make us more likely to be impatient and, commit the sin of disrespecting our family, right? Which is a big excuse a lot of people have for why they eat unhealthy, yet if you eat unhealthy, you end up being tired that night and the next day, and that makes you more likely to be irritable and disrespect your family. Now, when you eat the right foods for suhoor and iftar, you have more energy and less hunger throughout the day. Now, obviously, it's impossible to completely avoid hunger, but we're going to be able to, do better. You'll be able to avoid going into a food coma after iftar, and you'll be able to pray taraweeh for longer and have more energy the next day, and you'll obviously lose fat instead of gaining fat during Ramadan like most people do, and you'll be able to share this knowledge with some of your friends and family so that they can hopefully take advantage of it as well, inshallah. So what should you do for suhoor? Well, you should do medium fat, low carb, and high protein. Now, here's the thing. With anything nutrition related, customization is needed. What foods do you like? What kind of genetics do you have? Etc., etc. There's a lot of things within food that need to be customized to the individual, but for 80% of Muslims who I've worked with in Ramadan in the past, and I've worked with dozens and dozens of Muslims over the last 6 years during Ramadan specifically to ensure that obviously they get great results and have a lot more energy, including myself, right? So for 80% of the people I've worked with, this is what I've noticed works best, but obviously there's always special, cases where we need to maybe do some complex carbs with suhoor, and that's a viable option as well, especially with older folks. For instance, my grandparents actually do better on complex carbs and, protein with more medium fat and a little bit lower protein, especially older folks, especially when you get past the age of 50 and past the age of 60, you do need to be mindful with, the effect that protein has on your kidneys, just because when you're older. But when you're younger, having more protein is actually great for your metabolism and losing weight faster, right? Which is why usually in their 50s and 60s, people see slower results, in addition to metabolic factors and other stuff, right? So I'm going to go into some client examples in a sec. And this was actually, so there we go. There's suhoor. Now for iftar, that's where we actually want to do low fat, medium carbs, and high protein, okay? So I'm going to go into some client examples in a second so that you guys can actually see what my client meal plans look like for both a female and a male client, specifically for Ramadan. And I'll show you like some of the comparatives for the male client outside of Ramadan since he's been kind enough for me to share his meal plan. But yeah, that's basically it. We want to eat low fat, medium carb, high protein, and I'll show you what my clients eat after after taraweeh and all that other stuff too, depending on the person and how much cravings they have, etc. And I'll go into some specific data behind each person. But the reason why we want to do low fat, medium carb, high protein is, have you ever noticed if you eat something that has a bunch of carbs and it has a ton of oil, that you get super tired afterwards? That makes you a lot more likely to get into a food coma, and that's what we want to avoid, because obviously if we're allowing ourselves to get into a food coma after iftar, that's going to make us pray less tarawih, which means we get less good deeds, and so we make less out of Ramadan, then we're tired the next day, which again is going to affect us at work when it comes to productivity and performance, right? So we want to obviously make sure that we're supporting our goal with high protein. Unless you're above the age of 50 or 60, then we gotta, again, anything nutrition wise, if you have gout, or if you have other kidney disease, then of course, even if you're younger than 50, we got to make sure that we customize this for you. Or obviously, there's a lot of things that need to be customized, but for most people, this is what works: low fat, medium carb, high protein. And that's going to give you more energy. It's going to help you lose fat. It's going to help you a lot. And then we talk about specific quantities as well. So I'm going to go into a female example now. With my female clients, I usually don't give personal details unless the individual gives me permission. So this individual just gave me permission to share her numbers, but not anything else about her. So this particular female client, she has a lot of food cravings, and actually one of her biggest reasons why she was struggling to lose weight prior to getting started with us is because she loves to eat a lot of sweets and she loves to put a lot of oil on everything, right? So what we ended up having to do was we ended up having to kind of adjust her into this and make sure that she starts off on higher carbs. And the good news is the breakfast that I gave her outside of Ramadan, obviously, was actually too much food volume for her to where she never felt hungry, which is what she thought that she would need to feel on a diet, because we gave her plenty of complex carbs, kept the fats lower, and made sure the foods were still, tender and delicious, to where obviously it was very easy for her to never feel hungry on a meal plan, which is perfect. And it set up her metabolism and got her out of the habit of using so much oil and fat. And that's the thing with oils and fats, is it's a lot harder for your body to store complex carbs and lean proteins as fat, but it's a lot easier for your body to store sugars and fats as fat. Plus, fats have 9 calories per gram versus carbs and proteins only have 4 calories per gram. And one of those calories gets used when processing protein and converting it into energy through glyconeogenesis, which is, you don't even know what that is. All you need to know is it's very hard for your body to convert protein into fat, because your body has to first convert the protein into carbs, and then that already takes away 25% of the calories. And then your body has to then take those carbs and store those as fat only if we're in an excess and the muscle glycogen is already full. So again, you don't need to know all that science. All you need to know is it's hard for your body to convert lean protein into fat. Now, likewise, complex carbs take time to digest, and there's a lot of fiber attached to that carb. So your body will often just pass through what it can't use and will only use what it can use, which again makes it hard to convert to fat. Now, fats, on the other hand, though, they're oils, right? And because the amount per gram is so much higher calorie, it's so much more calorically dense. So you can't eat as much, yet the calories are much higher, which is why, it's easy to, they do digest slower. So there is a satiation effect, which is part of why we do a slightly higher fat suhoor. And then also we want to make sure that we're not getting that blood sugar crash if we're doing a higher carb suhoor. That being said, for older folks where we want to be kind of more mindful of cholesterol, or we have to go lower on protein, we want to actually have the carbs higher, because when we have more carbs, it's actually protective of protein, which makes us need less protein if you can't eat as much protein. And also the advantage with those complex carbs, they're still going to give you sustained energy and avoid that blood sugar crash. So again, complex carbs are a viable option, which again, with 20% of people and with older folks, we usually use complex carbs, lower fats, high protein for suhoor. Sometimes medium fat, especially like in my grandparents' case where they can't eat much protein, or for older folks. But again, for most people, we go low carb, medium fats, high protein for suhoor. But again, so the original point I was going to make with that is that we don't want to be eating simple carbs for suhoor, though, because if we eat simple carbs that digest really fast and then we get that blood sugar crash, it's going to make us way hungrier and more tired throughout the day. And then obviously if we're binge eating into a food coma for, iftar, that's going to lower our energy levels that night and the next day. And it's going to bleed to the next day. So we want to be careful with that stuff. But anyway, so for this particular client, I'm actually having to do a very high calorie, big suhoor, right? 660 calories, 71 grams of protein, right? So 8 ounces of egg whites with 1 egg. And she still likes to use a lot of oil, so we did let her use a little bit more oil than is typical. Plus, again, it's higher fat, lower carbs, right? And then 4 to 6 ounces of lean ground beef or chicken cooked in 1 tablespoon of, again, oil. So 2 tablespoons of oil between the whole thing. And so it ended up being 660 calories, 71 grams of protein, very high food volume, very satiating, which is great for suhoor, right? Now, for iftar, 1 date with 2 scoops of protein, 1 cup Fairlife milk. So for most people, I haven't cut out dairy in the beginning, but she was really struggling with that, so we let her keep in the dairy, and thankfully it wasn't inflammatory for her. But for a lot of people, the first week I have them cut out dairy because we want to assess whether it's causing inflammation for you or not, because if it is causing inflammation, your energy will improve right away. I mean, your energy will improve right away just from working out and eating healthy, but especially if you cut out inflammatory foods right away, your energy will go up to where if you add it back in week 2, if you're craving it, which is what we tell you to do if you're craving it, then guess what? And we put that in your meal plan, guess what? If it crashes your energy levels, you're never going to want to have it again because you feel tired and bloated, right? So it's a very nice system that makes it very easy to stick to the diet, because we cut out certain foods for a sec, then we add them back in if you're craving them, and then if they make you feel tired, then you don't want to do them anymore because you don't want to be tired, right? So it's very easy. One of my clients, he hates when I make him do cheat meals because he's like, man, it's never worth feeling unwell because I feel so good on this clean eating. But sometimes when he hits a plateau, I have to make him do a cheat meal, and he actually hates it. Versus most of my clients like the cheat meals, but eventually they get to the point where, my client, Brother Abid, because he actually is cool with me using his name in his testimonial, you'll get to the point where he doesn't want to do a cheat meal. But anyways, so after having this nice, but again, I usually prefer to do the protein and water, because that's going to digest a lot faster. It's going to be healthier and lower inflammation. And personally, I can't touch milk because I get massive inflammation, diarrhea, bloating, everything. So I usually just do, I actually do 3 dates because my carb tolerance is a little bit higher. My carb requirements, being a 220-pound bodybuilder, is much higher than a 160-pound woman. So I'll do 3 dates with 2 scoops of protein and water. But for her, we're doing 1 date with 2 scoops of protein and 1 cup Fairlife milk. Pray maghrib, and then eat a meal. So we combine 1 protein, 1 complex carb, and 1 vegetable or fiber, right? And then whatever leftover she has for this meal, because it's a pretty big meal to have after having that giant protein shake, she can have later. And then in addition to that, she can also have a post-isha taraweeh snack of 200 calories of whatever she wants, then go for a 10-minute walk before bed, so that those 200 calories don't just sit in her stomach and cause her to gain fat while she's sleeping, but rather it gives her, she's able to burn it off largely and just get her body in an active state. And then that also helps her to wind down before sleep. And it's a 10-minute walk minimum. Like usually when you go for a 10-minute walk, you'll end up going for 20 because it feels good. And then you go to bed, right? So this is perfect. And, again, we have to account for her dieting history, because not everybody, I want to put them on that much oil or, allow them to do milk. But depending on the person's dieting history and their cravings, we are sometimes more or less strict. Now, next up, I'm going to go into, so this video is, I'm going on a couple tangents, so I'm not going to show you what his normal meal plan looks like outside of Ramadan, but if you need help with your meal plan, just shoot me a message and I'm happy to help you out. But I want to show you the meal plan for this 240-pound man, okay? So we actually set up 2 different meal plans for him for Ramadan. There's the ones where he's working out in the evening, and there's the ones where he's working out in the morning before Suhoor. There's the ones where he's working out after Iftar. And I'm going to do a video tomorrow, inshallah, where I talk about the best times to work out during Ramadan. And I also have one already that's like an hour long where I go deep into all this stuff, but I want to make it into shorter, digestible videos. So with that being said, I'm going to start going on these tangents so this video is actually short and digestible. But again, so when he's fasting, what I have him do for Suhoor is 860 calories, so 105 to 120 grams of protein. Now, do most people eat that much protein? No, but for him, he loves eating a lot of meat, so it's easy for him to hit that much protein, and it is actually optimized for his goals and his metabolism. And obviously, if he starts struggling with this amount of quantity, I can always make adjustments to make sure we hit that protein elsewhere, so he still hits his target of, I believe, I have him getting about 205 to 220 protein per day. That's not necessarily based on his lean mass, but it's based on his satiation, his taste buds, and his total protein requirements. Now, that being said, you don't always have to do 1 gram per pound in body weight and protein per day. For instance, for this woman, 71 plus, that's plus 45 plus 50. Oh, so she's actually hitting 160 protein, but I have some people who eat a little bit less than 1 gram per pound in body weight, and I have some people who have to eat more because it depends on your genetics. So that's why I'm sometimes uncomfortable just giving general dietary recommendations, because everybody requires a different approach. Everybody requires a different approach. It depends on your taste buds. It depends on your sustainability, your lifestyle, what you like, how much food volume you can handle, your dieting history. There are so many factors that go into it that it's basically impossible to give a general recommendation for diet. That's why if you download MyFitnessPal and it tells you how many calories to eat and then you try it and you don't get results, it's because it's not actually tailored to you and your dieting history, and you might be mistracking, but usually it's because it's not properly tailored to you. And that's one thing I pride myself on, is everybody that I work with loves their meal plan and follows their meal plan, because we make unlimited adjustments to make sure that it works well. But anyways, before I go into a tangent on that, let's go into this, because I could talk about that all day long and why our program's the best. But anyway, so on his fast, his workout, where he's working out in the evening, so I have him do the egg whites and 1 full egg with 4 to 6 ounces of chicken or beef or 4 strips of turkey bacon, which is something he was able to find that's really good. I have him do sauerkraut for his gut health because he actually likes sauerkraut, 2 scoops of protein, and then half an avocado for that satiation factor. Now, I don't have everybody do avocados because they are very high calories. Like half an avocado is 180 calories, but that whole meal is big, satiating. He loves it. It tastes great, and it's 860 calories. This is very similar to what I eat for Suhoor, actually, which fits into my macros. Now for iftar, I gave him more of a flexible target to hit. So 500 to 800 calories with 50 plus grams of protein, right? So if he wants to do a light meal before his workout, if he wants to just work out right after iftar, I have him do the same thing as me: 3 dates, 3 almonds, 2 scoops of protein. And then second meal after the workout, again, as an alternative, you can do 500 calories, 50 plus grams of protein. So his total ends up being, I believe, let's see, 5, so it's 1,000. So about 1860, or I think it was either 2050 or 1850. I'd have to check his other meal plan on what his total is, but we're able to hit the same totals in a healthy way that reduces his hunger, and ultimately allows him some flexibility. So yeah, I think it's 1800 to 2100 is the calorie target that I have for him, that's allowing him to lose weight very easily. And obviously I don't make you track calories. All I make you do is just I create the target for you, as far, or I create the target, and then I figure out what foods you're actually going to enjoy eating and give you as much flexibility as you need. So in his case, because he wants flexibility, it's just, okay, mix and match 500, 800 calories and 50 plus grams of protein. But for other people, I just give him straight up structure, just like what I gave him for Suhoor, right? Now on the days where he wants to work out before Suhoor, wake up early and have a scoop of caffeinated BCAAs, and I have 2 links for him there. Now from there, so like for instance, there's the caffeinated amino energy, really, really good. Now same thing, post-workout meal for Suhoor. So we could call it post-workout meal / Suhoor, right? I'll just throw it in there because I'm OCD. And then for iftar, same thing. Instead of doing the light snack, he just gets to have, his normal meal, and then he gets to have a later evening after Isha or Taraweeh, right? So that's kind of the Ramadan meal plan. So if you have any questions on that, let me know. And then the last thing I wanted to cover just really quickly, because I'm kind of making this longer than I was intending on, is, we want to be able to have some cheat meals, and you also got to be able to deal with family pressure. So when it comes to cheat meals, you can do a straight up cheat meal once a week, and it's going to help you stay consistent. It's going to make it sustainable. Otherwise, 80-20 rule, if you do things right 80% of the time, you can afford to do them wrong 20% of the time. When it comes to family pressure, though, use the hadith from my other video. So if you actually just look at the last video I posted, that's the video I'm referring to. But essentially, I cover 4 hadith on healthy eating from our Prophet ﷺ on portion control, healthy eating, and avoiding extravagance. So the thing is, family can try to pressure you with, their frame, which is, oh, in our culture, we have to eat this, or no, just try this, or oh, I'm your family, or oh, you're offending me by not eating my thing. These are all frames, okay? Frames are perspectives, and when somebody has a stronger frame than you, a stronger perspective than you, sometimes you'll fall into their frame. So like, for instance, if your grandma comes and says, oh no, you're too skinny, you need to eat more, this tastes good, I made it, you're making me feel offended that you're not eating my thing, blah, blah. She's hitting you with a bunch of frames there, and you start to feel super guilty, you start to feel super bad. Her perspective is so strong that your frame breaks, and you say, okay, cool, I was prioritizing healthy eating, but now I'm going to prioritize pleasing my grandma, even if it ends up sabotaging me on my goals, and it's going to make me miserable for the next 24 hours. But the beautiful thing is you can easily avoid offending your grandma or your mom or your aunt, because nothing beats the frame of Islam. Like, who's going to say, no, don't follow the example of the Prophet, don't follow Islam, just do this thing that our culture said. Just do this thing for me. No. You can easily break that frame of the culture, of the family, of the guilt, by simply bringing in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, right? So if you want me to send you that video that goes over our 4 hadith on portion control, just let me know and I can send that to you. And then you can use those hadith to help your family stay accountable to eating healthy food as well, and to be able to avoid family pressure and without offending anybody, by being like, hey, jazakallah khair, I really appreciate it. I love you so much. Thank you so much for making all this delicious food. I appreciate all the effort that you put in. It tastes amazing. So I'm actually just going to have 1 plate, because I'm trying to follow the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he said 1/3 for food, 1/3 for water, and 1/3 to save room for your breath. And the reason why our Prophet told us to do this, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is so that we have more energy to stand in prayer. Because what happens is when we overeat, we have less energy to stand in prayer, which is why the Prophet told us to do this. So I'm trying to follow the Sunnah. I'm trying to be a good Muslim this Ramadan. But I'd love to have you also follow the Sunnah with me and come to Taraweeh with me. Do you want to come to Taraweeh with me this week or today, right? Do you see how I can easily spin that conversation, make it positive? When somebody's coming at me with a guilt frame, I can easily spin that conversation and now create a win-win that serves both of our best interests, as opposed to being detrimental to my best interest, just so I can make her temporarily happy, only to realize that she's actually disrespecting the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ as well. But now I can make a win-win for both of us, where we're both going to get good deeds and eat healthier and go to Taraweeh and have more energy, right? So that's how you counter the family frame in a way that's very win-win and doesn't offend anybody, but actually rather helps us both get more good deeds, and now you're spreading, more of that knowledge to your family, subhanAllah. So it's a win-win for everybody. And that's how you counter the family stuff. And if you have questions on this as well, just let me know. But, the ability to articulate crucial conversations like that, building those communication skills and being able to truly do it and mean it the way that I just did, again, very, very important for being able to fight that family pressure and stay focused on your goals while helping your family to improve and better themselves as well, and helping everybody to do their best in Ramadan. And Ramadan isn't just about going to the masjid and doing good deeds. Yes, you should do that, but the Prophet ﷺ told us not to let our homes become a grave, right? The Sheikh talked about that in the khutbah, may Allah bless him, the previous Friday. And so again, bring that barakah to your home, bring the hadith and the sunnah, and get your whole family to follow the sunnah better by educating them and sharing the benefits, just like what I'm doing with you today, so that you can help everybody be better. And of course, if you want to share this video with them, I would love that as well. It'll help me reach more people. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend. You can share this with a friend on any platform. You can like and comment on any platform. And please let me know if you have any questions. And inshallah, stay tuned for tomorrow's video where we talk about the best times to work out, inshallah. All right. Assalamu alaikum.